Today I've got news for you. Some are good and some are bad, though there's still news about fats. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Live Healthy, Look Good. This is the final video about fats, and I'm going to talk about the metabolism of fats. Before doing so, though, I would like to spend a few words about it. Not about it, but about another thing regarding fats. And this is the bad news, though. So, I start with the bad news and then I'll don't give you so many good news, but I'll give you some instructions which will help you burning fats. Okay, so fat, the amount of fat cells that a person has in her body is determined at a younger age, so during the development, during the teenage. And once an individual is developed, the number of cells, of fat cells, will not change anymore. Okay, you can get rid of them with surgery and then they will come back eventually, maybe in some different places, but the amount of those cells, the number of cells, will be like permanently marked in your genetics and will never change. So yes, it is very important not to have a past with abuse of food or being fat, but though there are still good news. So what you can do at that point is just increasing, of course, or reducing the size of these cells, but they will forever be with you. Said so, there are former obese people who made a very good physique, of course. Some of them had to go through the skin cutting because their skin was too stretched to reduce naturally. But that's not the case for the majority of the people, okay? But the good news is that if they were obese and they managed, however, to develop a very lean body, yeah, the number of fat cells in your body shouldn't really be concerning you. So don't blame anybody if you have been fat during your teenage. Triglycerides are stored in your body as fat and they turn into adipose tissue, which is the fat that you can pinch out of your skin, okay? But that's not the only place where fat goes. Triglycerides are around your organs, so that is called visceral fat. Visceral fat is the first fat that you get rid of when you start doing exercise. It's the easier to get rid of. And also, surprisingly, in the range of 300-400 grams in your muscles. That it depends on your hormonal levels, also the way your body works under an endocrinologist way, and also is determined by your genetics. Okay, so as I said, what you have done in the past would affect your genetics because your genetics are not defined till a certain age, which is not the same for everybody. As I mentioned in the previous videos about fats, fats are very high in energy. They're higher, much higher than sugars, also carbohydrates, and they therefore can produce a lot more energy than carbohydrates. But there is a catch about it. In order to be able to burn fat, we need oxygen. So the only system, we have three energetic systems, the only system that really makes us burn fat is the aerobic system, which is the one that happens when we breathe. So for instance, now I'm not burning fat anymore. Okay, I'm just exaggerating, of course, but so that's why people say you need to jog, you need to do all these, cardio exercises. Cardio exercises are usually related to aerobic system because it's the main aerobic system, because the heart has this function to bring blood around the tissues also because it brings oxygen, which is collected by, of course, by the nose or the mouth, goes to the lungs, then they just give oxygenated blood to the heart, which brings it everywhere, and then the veins, because the arteries take it to the muscles or to the tissues, and the veins bring it back to the other side of the heart, which will then bring it to the lungs to oxygenate again, to go, to circle around. That's one of the functions, and this is the aerobic function that we are interested in. In order to break down fat, our body needs more work because triglycerides are rich in carbon, and they make it more difficult to break down fat. However, these triglycerides can of course be your stored fat as adipose tissue. They can be your visceral fat. They can also be around in your bloodstream, because we have some around, like we have some glucose, we have some fats, we have everything. Basically, everything we need is in the blood, because the blood brings everything where it's needed, as well as fat, and so triglycerides, which we need to burn to create energy. So there is one thing that I haven't mentioned, and I don't know how to mention in here without making it too long. It's called ATP, adenosine triphosphate. It's the thing that allows us to create energy by breaking down one of these three molecules of phosphate. Triphosphate, in fact, is because there are three molecules of phosphate. So breaking down this molecule of phosphate will produce energy. And obviously, triglycerides, they provide much more ATP than carbohydrates, though sugars, so carbohydrates, are still our preferred source of energy. Therefore, when we do exercise, we do consume sugars. We do consume the glycogen that is stored in our muscles, which is one of the reasons why I always say you need to eat carbohydrates if you do exercise, because otherwise, if there are no glycogens, guess what? And you need energy, you will start taking from somewhere else, which can be very likely from your muscles, which is something you don't want to. So carbohydrates, even if I'm speaking about fats, are still very useful. And you need to have enough, above all, if you train, because that's what you're using. So how do you burn fat? So fat is not, I think I've already said so, is not when you sweat a lot, you're not really burning fat, you are losing liquids. We burn fat by breathing, because we need oxygen to convert triglycerides into energy. So it can be burned, of course, on a certain extent by doing cardio exercises. You don't really need to do much, but now I'm not even saying don't do it, because otherwise you would touch your muscles. Many bodybuilders exactly avoid cardio because they are afraid of, after all, it's understandable, I'm not blaming them, of course, all the struggles they go through to build these lean masses. Of course, they are not happy to trade them, which is perfectly understandable, and they are a little frightened of doing cardio. But in my opinion, above all, to the audience I'm targeting to, so a person who wants to get back in shape, it shouldn't be a concern. And above all, I do my 3 miles jog. Now I'm not doing it very often because the weather still doesn't allow me to do it, and I do it at pretty decent speed as well. If you are my friend on Facebook, of course, my real friends, not my friends with the restrictions, so the people I really don't know, you will see where I jog and how quickly I do it. I can tell, I got my average speed in 3 miles about 7.3, 7.4 miles per hour. Of course, if I have to go 5 miles, I would probably be able to keep that average. But, it's for 24 minutes, 25, 24 minutes jogging 3 miles, which is not bad, and doesn't really concern me. It doesn't really, I know, yeah, some people will say, yeah, but you're not a bodybuilder, you're not big. Yeah, exactly, and I don't want to, and I'm not looking forward to becoming that big. But if I wanted, I'm sure, just by eating enough carbohydrates, so I know more or less how much calories it costs me to do this jogging. So what I would do is just taking a certain amount of carbohydrates before, not right before, but a couple hours before, so that I'm sure all my muscles are stored with glycogens, which I will then use for the jogging, because again, it's aerobic, but it's pretty demanding, and your body, my body, our body, will prefer to use glycogens instead of burning fat. Of course, some fat will be burned, but there are other ways as well to burn fat, and it doesn't have to necessarily be jogging. However, you need to be breathing when you do it, even when you sleep. That's why I was professing increasing your BMR, your basal metabolic rate, exactly because if you want to burn fat, you need to have a bigger lean mass, which is the one that costs to our body to be maintained, and keeping it by doing exercise, by eating the right amount of macronutrients, which we will be seeing very soon. And even when you sleep, you will be burning fat. Actually, they say that it's when you burn the most fat, when you are resting. So yeah, you probably happen to burn more fat when you finish the jogging rather than when you are jogging, but you will still burn fat. And yes, if you have a decent caloric deficit in your diet, if you want to lose fat, it will help you losing fat. If you are not looking forward to be leaner, you may need to big more masses. You don't really need to be on a deficit in calories. You may still grow muscles, and consequently your fat will reduce by itself. So it will be up to you doing either cardio activities or not doing cardio activities. I must say, yesterday I tried a very old study, though I've never tried it. I think it's from the 50s or the 60s, which is very old for the fitness standards, because today you learn something and tomorrow somebody will say, no, this doesn't work. This new thing works. And I've tried moving the blood from the top upper body to the lower body, and then from the lower body to the upper body, by doing a pretty demanding exercise, which I wanted to share it with you, but I think it's not the case at this stage of my channel, because I'm speaking to beginners. Of course, I'm not telling things that a bodybuilder doesn't know already, or not so much. I've been doing basically my maximum amount of reps. I've taken them and I've reduced to 1/3 of them, and then I've been doing the pull-ups on the bar. Then immediately after that I was doing the piston squats, again 1/3 of my maximal repetition number. Then after the piston squats, obviously one per not one per each leg, then I was again pumping the blood on the upper body by doing other pull-ups, but in this case with the hands like this. So this is pronated, this is supinated. So again, pull-ups, then jumping down and doing one leg squats with one leg on the bench and the other one going up and down, of course, both legs. Then from there I did the dips. So again, my triceps mainly. And again, after the dips, I did normal squats with 2 legs, which for some reasons it was the toughest part, even because I did more, because I can do more squats than pistol squats, of course. And then after that, push-ups. And then repeat. And every time for 45 minutes with no rest in between. So I was just doing pull-ups, squats, pull-ups, squats, dips, squats, push-ups, again, hip raisers, I forgot. The last one was hip raisers, so with my butt on my whole back and butt on the floor, and my legs on the bench, and just lifting my hips. I promise I'll do these videos for you, not in this context. So there were 8 exercises, 1 for the upper body and immediately 1 for the lower body. So I was moving my blood up and down, and I must say I was surprised, because I did it for 45 minutes. I must confess today I'm completely knackered, as they would say in England. I don't know the way Americans say. I think yesterday I knew it and now I forgot it. A friend of mine just told me yesterday, but I can't remember it. So anyway, I was really, really tired. I'm still really tired today. But surprisingly, I was able for 45 minutes with no rest to do them without any issues. I mean, I was able to do always 1/3 of my maximum repetitions, which is something I cannot do if I, for instance, focus only on the upper body. And they say that once you finish this exercise, your body, because of the way you have been moving your blood, will burn more fats. So I don't know if it's true or not, because I did it just yesterday, but I will keep experimenting, not more than twice a week, because it's really devastating. But I will let you know. And so the short story is this: if you want to burn fat, of course you have to do something aerobic, but doesn't have to be exercise. It can be also resting, as long as you have done exercise differently. You can have been lifting weights, or you can have been jogging. If you do jog, you need to take more carbohydrates, unless you don't care about your muscles, because there is a risk to not to grow as much muscle as you would like to. And that's pretty much it. So again, next time we're going to finally start talking about the proteins. Proteins are probably the most discussed topic, and a lot of people have no idea what they are and why they're taking them, but they do take a lot of proteins because they have to, supplements and things like that. So I hope to make some clearness around proteins starting from the next video. I may do some other videos in between, so just don't expect the next video to be the proteins one. I just don't know. I'm not planning what I'm going to do, because sometimes I'm just passionate and I go with why I've lost weight, which is something that I'm probably going to do. But that's pretty much it. Okay, thanks for watching. Don't forget, if you enjoyed this video and if you want to find out more about how to get in shape, even if you are a midlife man like this individual here, 42 years old, and I wasn't this lean all my life, and that's probably what I'm going to tell in the next video. So yes, there's always hope for you to get in shape, no matter what age you are. And so yeah, if you are in that range, no matter if you are a man or a woman, and you think, it's too late, I can't get fit. No, you can, and I will prove you can, because I am the living proof that it's possible. Okay, please subscribe to the channel if you want to keep receiving these notifications about my content. I will be very happy, I will be very pleased if you make a comment and you have questions for me. I'll be very happy to answer your questions on my videos. And also, if you enjoyed it, please just click the thumb up and I will be very happy. Thanks again, and don't forget to live healthy. Bye!